we put sanctions on Russia because of Ukraine. That's not why we put sanctions on Russia. That's the public reason given. We put sanctions on Russia because the United States is an imperialistic hegemon that now wants some of that energy market in Europe for our own fossil fuel companies here in the United States. Russia provides around 40% of the energy needs to Europe, and now the United States wants some of that liquefied natural gas market, right? So that's what this is all about. That's why they stopped the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which goes from Russia directly to Germany. They never talk about any of this stuff on the news. But another thing they'll never talk about is that the sanctions they put on Russia, it didn't hurt. Well, sanctions hurt the U.S. more than Russia, says a poll. Most Americans focused on economic woes at home. More than 2 in 5 of respondents are indifferent to Ukraine's fate. So let's go. So this is, of course, you're only going to get this from RT. A new poll has found that 53% of Americans believe the sanctions on Moscow hurt the United States more than Russia. Amid soaring gas prices and rising living costs, voters are losing confidence in the United States President Joe Biden's leadership. And boy, is that an understatement. Losing? Wow. Okay. And really? And Bruce Willis is losing his hair. I don't think. And 43% say they're okay with Ukraine losing its ongoing conflict with Russia. So almost half the country, a little bit more than 4 out of 10, are okay. They don't give a shit about Ukraine, put it that way. And the only reason 6 out of 10 people do is because the corporate media tells them to. Americans were very pro-sanctions at first, but they are not as keen on the sanctions as they were, said Democracy Institute Director Patrick Basham. Biden made these predictions at the outset. The ruble would be rubble. We were going to crash the Russian economy. People will rise up and Putin will be out. The Russians will run away from Ukraine. But none of those things happened. That's what we were told would happen. None of those things happened. The difference between the expectation and reality has made people cynical, he claimed, comparing the apparent loss of trust to public disillusionment with coronavirus policies throughout the West. Huh? What do you mean? Well, the problem now is that at least half of the country in America thinks they were hoodwinked over a lot of the COVID stuff, because they were. They were lied to about early treatments. They were told essential medicines and Nobel Prize-winning medicines were horse poison. So they're even more cynical about government and media than they were 2 years ago. Some 56% of Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of foreign matters, compared to 40% approving. On Ukraine specifically, only 38% approve of his stewardship, while 52% disapprove. Now, keep that in mind. That's what the pro-war media. Some 50% say they'd back Republicans in November midterm elections, compared with 42% said they'd vote Democrat. In addition to more voters being okay than not okay with Ukraine losing the conflict in Russia, 43 to 41%, a majority of Americans think it would be better for Biden to leave office than for Putin to step down, 53 to 44%. More Americans would rather have Joe Biden step down than Putin. Americans like Putin more than they like Biden, according to this poll. According to the latest poll, they consider Russia the 4th biggest threat to the United States at 16%, behind North Korea, Iran, and China. So this is all of this is about propaganda. None of those, every one of those numbers is 100% propaganda fed. But isn't it weird that even with all the propaganda against Russia, they still can't get it up to higher than 16% of people? Isn't that amazing, Jackson?
It is amazing, but that's why they need to wheel out Nina Jankowicz in the new Ministry of Truth so they can pump those numbers up.
So they can stop people like you and people like me or Glenn Greenwald or Matt Taibbi or the Gray Zone, and that's about it, that are going to tell you the truth about Ukraine, right?
Yep. Yep, their narrative is crumbling, and I mean, just that one stat: more Americans would be happy seeing Joe Biden step down than Vladimir Putin step down in Russia. That's just incredible. I mean, it's I think a accurate reflection of the American people. They can see that Putin didn't want this war, but Joe Biden was dead set on it and has been for years.
And the sanctions that we placed on Russia around this, has accelerated the end of the petrodollar, which is the United States desperately needs to keep our dollar propped up. And so it's actually had the exact opposite effect. And now Russia, the ruble, is back stronger than it was before the war even started. And now they're starting to make economic partnerships with people like China and Saudi Arabia. Isn't that interesting? So now we're screwing our own petrodollar, the own strength of our own dollar, and Russia and China, and they're creating a new world order without us.
Yeah, I know you covered the story about Brazil's new currency, the real. Well, we just got a report out this week that the ruble, as of right now, is the top performing currency in the world today, as of this year. So it's actually beating the real.
So guess what? The United States is screwing themselves doing this. And why would they do that then? Because it doesn't screw the military-industrial complex, which is who Joe Biden works directly for. He works indirectly for the American people. He works directly for the military-industrial complex, along with the squad, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and every Democrat. So this is quite stunning. And why wouldn't they try to stop this? Why wouldn't Joe Biden and the Democrats try to stop that? Why wouldn't they try to turn this around? Because they don't give a shit. What they only care about is pleasing the oligarchy, the people who actually run the country. And those people apparently can get the squad and Bernie Sanders, he's been a career. Bernie Sanders is a career. If you look into Bernie Sanders' career, he's a careerist. He's backed every shit Democrat in the world. So you're a chump if you keep voting Democrat. You're our chump and participating in evil self-destruction by donating and voting Democrat. And that's just a fact. And if you keep participating in that system, that makes you a nihilist. That makes you just gave up and you rolled over for the establishment. There's nothing we can do. It's always going to be like this. Things can never get better. We can never stand up against the oligarchy. All we can do is participate in it. That's what people are telling you. And those people are nihilists. You got to stop participating in that two-party system. You got to have some balls, stick your chin out, be a revolutionary, and stop participating. That's all we got. Anything you want to say, Jackson?
There's one silver lining in all of this. There's a lot of Americans that have woken up to all the lies surrounding Ukraine, and Western Europe, they're completely brain dead. They are falling for everything hook, line, and sinker, and they're blowing up their own economy right now. The euro is in dramatic decline. I have hope for this country, and people are waking up to what's happening.
Yeah, you have hope because you're young, but that's what we need. We need people with hope. And young. We also need people to come see us in Irvine, California when we tell our jokes. What's the date on that?
June 12th, Sunday night.
Sunday night, June 12th. We're going to be at the Improv in Irvine, California with all your favorite kids. Come see us. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets. We're doing live stand-up shows in Cleveland, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Des Moines, Omaha, Kansas City, Las Vegas, all over the country. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets. And single tickets now available at all venues. So if you tried to buy one before and you couldn't, single tickets are now available. Plus, while you're at jimmydorecomedy.com, why don't you become a premium member? Sign up to our mailing list so when they cancel us, we can still stay in touch.